quick little disclaimer or response, whatever you want to call it. The crash in this video is caused by me because I forgot to put a certain directory back because I'm moving files around. But just know that that crash is not the modder's fault. It is my fault. So, onto the video. For a moment, I completely forgot where I put some of the mysteries, but it should be fine for now. And you'll notice if the audio sounds different, it's because I made a change. So, as we get into Herald, Medical History, Character-Specific Mimi, yeah, we're going to continue going through custom mysteries, or at least the dozen or so that are left. I'm sure someone could try to count, and I might be skipping over one or two here and there, and that would be completely my fault. But if you want to see something, let me know. Otherwise, Knowledge, Charisma, Strength, Second Encounter, Dex, every single stat check, and maybe a light check. And then, of course, the second encounter check, because I need to improve that. But we'll enable the legal then, just in case there's something. Not that I would know what items I may need specifically for mystery endings, but it doesn't hurt to have things prepared, just in case something really weird happens. But I should have at least 8 custom mysteries loaded in, and yeah, away we go. So knowing what I have on my plate, I'm still going to look for the rumor. That much I can do, but we will put on something cool before we move on. So, what do we have for us today? Cacophonic chirping of the creepy cicadas. Did I even say that right? Anywho, but yeah, cicadas have emerged early this year and in much larger numbers than usual, if I can speak correctly. Oh my great goodness. Their chirping is absolutely deafening, and what's worse, they exhibit the most impossible behavior. They behave like humans. Behave like humans, if I can speak correctly. They take bus rides, they visit shops and the school and the hospital, they meet at playgrounds and at bars, loudly chirping together. Some people try to get rid of them, some are thrilled, some are terrified. Why did the cicadas suddenly start behaving like this? Is this the influence of some evil monstrosity, or... well, who knows? One of the cicadas has just went down the stairs and out of your apartment building. It's headed downtown. Could it lead Mimi to the explanation behind these recent events? Well, let's see. I didn't even equip my... oh, I did equip the scalpel. But I did get Insmasu to look for it, but good thing we're working with cicadas, right? The cicada is skittering around the ground ridiculously fast for such a small critter. Well, it's small. Mimi turns the corner and finds something. But yeah, I'm still going through the custom mysteries, so forgive me if I forget one here or there. Secret meeting. Oh, peeking around the corner at the cicadas. Mimi peeks from around the corner, as I just said, as the cicada she's been following meets up with 2 others. What are they doing? The cicadas chirp after one another, clearly having some sort of conversation. The meeting ends after a while. The other cicadas disappear to the nearby alleys, while your cicada, or Mimi's cicada, continues its run. Where's it going now? Lose 1 reason, but get 5 experience. Into the school, I guess. Materials theft. Mimi stops in front of the local high school. This late in the afternoon, it's closed, but this doesn't stop a cloud of cicadas to cross the gate back and forth. She observes them for a while and finally realizes what they're doing. Stealing! Every so often, the cicada leaves the school grounds, carrying a small item on its back. A ruler, a piece of plywood, a plastic cap, and doom. Human-like behavior, secretive group meetings, theft of items from the school. Are these cicadas actually having human soul intelligent? What sort of sinister deed are those insects planning? The one Mimi's been following has just boarded a bus. She can't let it escape. Did it even pay? How does it pay? Anyway, chitness passengers. Chitness? When Mimi boards the bus, she freezes. Almost every seat is occupied by a cicada, or 2, or more. Terrified, she looks at the driver as he closes the door. Look, they've been doing this for the past few days. I've already stopped questioning. I just want to do my job, you know? So please sit down and enjoy the trip. Why did I do that anyway? Well. Mimi sits down near the front door, where there are no cicadas. Sometimes she turns to look at them, only to see them staring back, or chirping secretly with each other. Mimi's sure that they're onto her. -2 reason. Again. When she leaves the bus after the cicadas, she realizes that they're nowhere to be seen. How could they run away so quickly? Someone in the village must have seen them, right? Well, in this max threat level village, which I forgot to get handcuffs, we'll see. Actually, let me do that really quickly. I will read the lore text in a moment. Let me just switch things over. And just guess I have some village investigations to do. Anyway, the only thing that villagers know about cicadas is the local forest is teeming with them. Day and night, it's all noise, we can't sleep because of them, they say, clearly exhausted. But what kind of noise do they make? Well, we know what kind of noise they make, but as Mimi stops to perform surgery, and fails, well, at least she feels better about it. Going deep into the forest, though, Mimi hears chirping that grows louder and louder with each step she takes, or each step she takes. Finally, she reaches a large mound of dirt. Goodness gracious, with dozens of cicadas scurrying about. Do I need a rest here? I feel like I want to rest here, by the way. Or a memory extract, but that's a bit much. So we'll save it for an emergency. And move on. Cicada's secret. The cicadas have built a miniature temple. She stares in disbelief as the cicadas gather around it. Their attention seems to be focused on the strange black idol in the center of the shrine. As they begin the rhythmic chant, the ground under her and under Mimi and Kyrie over here starts to shake. I mean, I know it's placeholder, but I mean, let me have my fun. Mimi runs towards the tiny temple in an attempt to stop the ritual. Unsure what to do, she reaches under the roof of the shrine and touches the black idol. Suddenly, there's a bright light. No more chanting. Mimi screams and falls backward as the black idol the cicadas were focusing on explodes into a beam of light. It shines straight up into the sky, and a reference to panicked, frenzied chittering makes her look around, only to find that all the chanting cicadas have burst into flames. The beam of light erupting from the shattered idol disappears as abruptly as it appeared, and it takes a moment for Mimi's eyes to get accustomed to the normal sunlight again. After a while, she stands up and surveys the damage. The temple is no more, burnt to cinders. The surroundings are littered with hundreds of charred dead cicadas. She steps closer to inspect the broken idol, only to find that it has disappeared. With nothing else left to do, Mimi leaves the area preparing for a long walk home. The chanting cicadas never return to Shiokawa, and people are relieved that their deafening chirping is gone. If only they knew the truth. Yeah, so relatively, well, still painful, because there's a lot of reason to lose there. But hey, we're Mimi. We're supposed to be able to take it, right? Also, did I fight a second encounter yet? I don't think so. So, let's move on into our next mystery. Romantic romance of a romantic romance. Ah, the game crashed! And again, I'll just show it just for posterity, but for the most part, I mean, there's not really much to say about it. It's what you would expect. It's often not going to be very different, although this one says draw wavy, so that's something new, but I mean, for the, again, we're going to abort, and then we're going to restart World of Horror. But yeah, I will do a thing. I will restart the run, basically, and just make sure that I know that that one crashes as we move on. So, quick play into Ath Night Errant, character exclusive, Aiko. I mean, we're Aiko, so hopefully things go well. Takushi-san light, second knowledge, and charisma. Well, that's relatively straightforward, but again, anything could still happen. So let's open this, fill this empty bottle up, get our experience, watch TV for a moment, and we will be on our way to do the my eyes to our custom mysteries. So as we put on schoolgirl glasses, Aiko, let's go into the trepidatious topic of a teenager's tongue. Also by Haspin. Hey, it turns out. Anywho, look at that knife, by the way. Daigo, not the professional player, one of Aiko's younger neighbors, has not been seen for the past few days. People started circulating rumors that he became gravely ill. His mother refuses to speak with anyone about him, only adding to the weirdness of the whole situation. Aiko decides to check on the poor guy, or at least find out from his mother what's happening to him. After all, how bad could it be? Aiko reaches the top floor where Daigo and his mother share a small apartment. Daigo's mother opens the door when she rings the bell and smiles sadly. It's you. I don't know why. I'm not even going to try. It's you. Well, if you really want to know, come in and see it for yourself. You won't believe me otherwise, as I take the moment to grab a plush toy. As Aiko walks into the apartment with a plush toy in her arms, but it's for protection. Trust me. Fine, carpenter hammer. Anything else I want to do? Quick history club check-in? Well, that would be cool, but I just wasted one doom there. So, in I go. I hit my knuckles on something. When Aiko enters the living room, she freezes. Daigo sitting on the sofa staring at her. She sees that his tongue is unnaturally long, almost reaching to his knees. She asks Daigo's mother how it happened. We have no idea. A week ago, he woke up complaining about a headache. Since then, it slowly grew bit by bit every day. It's 1 meter long already. And so Aiko asks if she can help. Asks, I need to grab some groceries and visit the hospital to ask the doctors if they can help Daigo. Can you stay with them for a while? Aiko agrees. Daigo has trouble talking and eating because of his tongue. His mother returns after a few hours. She says that the doctors at the hospital have never heard of a case like this. +3 doom for waiting. Daigo's mother walks Aiko to the door and asks for another favor. Because of his condition, Daigo's already skipped a week's worth of school. Would you go to the school and ask his teachers what materials he's missed so far? I'm so preoccupied with his condition that I didn't have time to do it myself, says suspicious lady. Oh, and we have to ask the substitute teacher. Well, hey. The teachers were sympathetic. Aiko decided against telling them about the tongue, and gave her a list of things Daigo has to catch up with. It's time to return to the poor guy. Hopefully he's feeling slightly better. And if he's not, well, Aiko has her fists. When she returns to Daigo's apartment, his mother is thankful for her help. She notices that she has a ruler in her hand. What are you doing? Daigo's mother smiles sadly and turns to face her son. I've decided to measure his tongue every day, and I just took another measurement. It grew another 60 centimeters since this morning. It's growing faster, minus one reason. Next day, Aiko starts to wonder how one's tongue starts to randomly growing in length. There must be some sort of underlying medical condition for this, right? Daigo's mother has already consulted the doctors, but Aiko wonders if they missed something. She ought to ask them herself. Or she figures she ought to ask them herself, as thankfully we're using the metric system in Shiokawa. Yeah, so let's search the cabinet really quickly and fail before we move on. Doctors shrug and are confused about Daigo's condition and have promised to find some solution for it. Surely they've told Daigo's mother the same thing. Aiko slowly makes her way back. Ah, my throat, by the way. It grows longer! Aiko enters Daigo's apartment to check on him, only to see his mother standing in front of him. She gasps when she notices a meat cleaver in her hand, and so she asks the mother to rethink this to try and calm her down. Calm down? How could I ever be calm about this? Take a look at this. She drops the cleaver and hides her face in her hand, sobbing. Aiko grabs the cleaver to keep it away from her. It grew even longer. It's now 2.5 meters long. This is terrible. He's a monster. A kimono. Daigo's mother runs out of the apartment crying as we get a meat cleaver, and to reason. I didn't know that was going to happen, but we'll equip the meat cleaver and throw the hammer later. She can't abandon him like that. Abandon him like that? Aiko asks Daigo for some patience as she goes to fetch his mother back. No longer able to speak, all he can do is gurgle and nod his head, or nog his head, thinking. And then Aiko proceeds to get pickpocketed, but she grabs the person's arm and runs after Daigo's mother, who she finds and the mother agrees to return. When the two return to their apartment, she suddenly screams and falls backward in world of the magnificent. Aiko runs inside and finds Daigo sitting on the floor. She gasps in horror when she realizes that his own tongue is wrapped around his neck and is choking him. Help! Aiko rushes to help him, grabbing onto the slick, slippery tongue. Only then she realizes that something's at the tip of it. Is that a mouth? The monster's tongue lashes out at her and quickly unwraps itself from Daigo's neck. Prepare for a fight, and the monster's tongue wraps around Aiko's neck. It starts to choke her. Hey. I guess this meat cleaver was good for something. I mean, well, we're taking a lot of damage, but hey. Yeah, we'll just take 4 stamina damage and move on with our day. Unless we somehow die immediately, but hey, we can't breathe. The oral alien is doing 4 stamina and has 56 power. Anyway, bloody hell. Choking and gagging, Daigo collapses onto the floor and vomits the strange creature out, along with copious amounts of blackish blood. As for the eldritch tongue itself, its spasms come to a stop in the large puddle of the dark liquid. Aiko's neighbor gasps for air as his mother helps him back onto his feet and moves him to the nearby sofa. Much to the relief of the two, Daigo already looks much healthier and even regained his ability to speak. Thank you, arigato gozaimasu, he gasps, as wiping his forehead with the tissue, slowly calming down. That's not actually what you would say, but hey. In this context, maybe. But that's when Aiko notices that his mother, her eyes fixed on the dead alien tongue, has grabbed a ruler. She asks what she's doing. I just want to know, the mother says with a trembling voice. Say something! She kneels in front of the creature's slick corpse and takes the final measurement. It was 4 meters long. Daigo's mother has the remains of the alien creature destroyed at the crematorium ran by one of her relatives. Daigo soon gets better and returns to school. But since that terrible day, Aiko's continuously conscious of her tongue, and she can't find a place for it in her mouth. It feels like it doesn't belong there. Thankfully, ending A, by the way. Well, no, I thought there was different. Anywho, moving on, let's drink this bottle of water, because that tongue took away a lot of stamina. Never mind, we don't have bath. Okay, moving on then. Into the rabid rhyme of a rapacious raven in fear of the robots. Little raven, hungry raven, living in a deep, dark hole. That's not how it's probably going to be sung. My friend was very craven, so the raven ate him whole. This dreadful rhyme is making its rounds around Shiokawa primary schools as of late, more and more children memorizing the lines and singing them at random times. And when the song is sung, a child is fated to disappear. They disappear overnight, right from their homes and from their parents' hands, and never to be seen again. The police are hopeless, and the parents in town are borderline hysterical. Is there a way to stop this crow madness? A nearby primary school had several of its pupils disappear in the past few days. Maybe one of the teachers can tell Aiko about this morbid case? Well, maybe not. Depends how far I can make it with 7 stamina and 11 reason. And this obsessed man getting in the way. I should actually have... Didn't I pick up the handcuffs? Well, thankfully I can do this, but I don't know how much better it's going to be. I could throw the empty bottle. I'm not going to, though. So, yeah. We'll do this and rest. Hi-ya! Let us actually rest once first. I did not pick up the handcuffs, did I? Well, also I didn't do the police station. Let's do that really quick. I'm still gonna guess village, and away we go. So, I've heard that Mrs. Redacted's twins disappeared last night. Poor woman, says one of the teachers. After some persuasion, he gives Aiko Mrs. Redacted's address. She lives in a 2-story house down the street, downtown. We'll investigate this shop first and proceed to look at these birds. Numerous ravens are perched on rooftops and power lines nearby. The birds are watching Aiko's approach to the woman's house with curiosity. And total silence. There's no way except forward, though. On the other hand, let's wait them out. Finally, finding a good spot, Aiko waits for the birds to leave as they stare. It takes a whole hour before the flock suddenly takes off into the air, letting her proceed untouched. Plus 2% doom. My little girls, I was watching them in his bed as they slept and turned around. I put away their toys, and the next moment I knew they were gone. The door and the window were closed, but they disappeared anyway. Maybe this little hungry raven is going back home, and some evil spirit or a demon. Hopefully Aiko can find some leads in the local school library. Because you never know. But while we pass by this trophy case, let's just actually risk the reason. Well, anywho. From an old folklore Lokfor book, Aiko learns about flesh-eating ravens which tormented a certain village. As it turns out, that village is not very far from Shiokawa. When Aiko arrives at the village, she immediately notices that it's strangely quiet. After 4 or 5 investigations, I wasn't counting. Anyway, let's visit this amateur priest and proceed to increase doom even more. The villagers haven't heard anything about the disappeared children, or any demonic birds for that matter. They do tell Aiko that there's an old lady who's terrified of ravens. She lives in a lone cottage in the middle of rice paddies in this village, which I thankfully have police patrolling, but even they can't find anything it seems. But we do have a bad feeling, and back to doomed threat level we go. Aiko approaches the door to the cottage and politely knocks on it. An old woman opens the door and lets her in. When she tells her about the disappeared children and the raven rhyme, she gets wide-eyed and gasps in horror and terror. Painful memories, the old woman knows and grasps at her head, hiding her face in her hands. Oh noes, the accursed bird is back, or birds. Or bird. Please, for your own sake, don't even think about going after it. Just turn around and leave. Forget about the children. Insist, though, Aiko does. And fails the charisma check. The old woman becomes hysterical and starts yelling at having low charisma. Aiko decides to leave before violence happens. -1 reason. Walking down the road downtown from the woman's house, walking fast, Aiko suddenly hears some children crying in the distance. And she's homebound. It's coming from the direction of the forest, which is also at a max threat level. Man, ravens are scary, but threat level even more so. Lost and find. Aiko roams the forest for several minutes until she finds the source of the crying. 2 girls about 8 years old each. Seeing Aiko, they quickly run towards her, but when she turns around, her way back is blocked by the trees that she swears weren't there before. The village can't be that far away, right? Well, Aiko tries to backtrack her way out of the forest, but it seems like she's going in circles. She always ends up in the same spot where she first found the girls. Then she hears the rustle of wings above her. The Raven. The Raven perches on the branch of a dead tree and stares down at Aiko silently, its eyes empty and pale. Every fiber of her being is telling her one thing: grab the children and run! Be a craven Raven. Aiko grabs the children by their hands, turns around, and flees. She runs in a straight line, but to her terror, she ends in the same area as she were before. The Raven crawls at her triumphantly, its beak unmoving. Well, hi. Do you want to be cut by the meat cleaver into a tasty chicken meal? Darkness starts to surround Aiko as the Raven's body deforms. into a ghost. Gosh dang it. Well, thankfully it's Doom, the lesser of the two evils, but we are going to take 8 Doom for our trouble, so hey. Unless something really, really strange happens. But we'll try to sever this raven from the world with the meat cleaver. 14 experience and a level. Aiko rises from her knees and looks at the raven, whose shape is slowly distorting into nothing as Aiko gets disciplined for her trouble. Nevermore. Nevermore. The raven croaks one last time and takes off into the air, dissolving into a cloud of black smoke a few seconds later. Aiko stares at the sky for a while longer, but the raven does not reappear. As the twins start to sob and cry, she reassures them that everything will be okay and starts leading them out of the forest. Half an hour later, Aiko reaches the village and takes them to the local inn. The inn owner quickly calls the police when she tells them what has happened and explains who the children are. After the police arrives, Aiko is questioned about the missing children. The detectives listen attentively to her story. When she mentions the encounter with the ghostly Raven, they look at each other briefly. Alright, that'll be all. Thank you for answering our questions. Have a nice day. The police lets Aiko go without further ado. As she walks back to Shiokawa, she cautiously eyes every raven that she happens to pass by. The twins are safely returned to Mrs. Redacted, and she personally thanks her for finding them. However, all other children that disappeared during the Raven Rhyme Panic, as the media dubbed it, are still missing to this day. Aiko can only hope that by banishing the demonic bird, and soon the old god, no other child will have to suffer the same morbid fate. And time skipped as a result. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna ever be able to use these meat cleavers, by the way. These handcuffs. I'm going crazy. So what are we at? Our third mystery, 48% Doom? Yeah, that's fine. Not really. Outlandish Odyssey of an Occult Orphan. If I repeat any mysteries, so be it. Yeah, and I've done this before, but probably not in this update. So we'll see if anything's changed. Otherwise, Outlandish Odyssey of an Occult Orphan. Name, Shinsuke Nekoyama, age 17, occupation, transfer student. Known for unwittingly bringing disasters and lethal accidents on everyone who hangs around him. The next victim of this cursed trait, Aiko! The Nekoyama family, or what's left of it, has moved to the apartment under Aiko's, says Mrs. Redacted. I've heard that anyone who talks to them dies horribly. They're cursed! That can't be bad. They can't be that bad, can they? Aiko decides to pay them a visit. What's the worst that could happen, anyway? Well, as we're about to find out, I don't remember much about this mystery, by the way, so I could miss up something. As Aiko gets to a near miss, the teenager welcomes her into his family's apartment. He turns around to her when her eyes gaze upwards, just in time to notice that the old lamp above him is about to fall. Push him away. Hey, high dexterity actually does something, but we get Shinsuke's curse. Affecting friends and neighbors since 1980, -2 luck. Aiko throws herself at the teenager, and together they fall away. The lamp crashes on the floor, sending small pieces of glass everywhere, but neither are harmed. Plus 10 experience and a curse. Name Shinsuke, the boy says as he helps Aiko stand up. Don't worry about the lamp, it happens around me often. I'm a protagonist, and I'm cursed. I get people killed. Gotta say, you're one of the first to get off so easily. He smiles sadly and he picks up his backpack. Look, you're cool, but let's meet later after school, okay? See you! And he's off towards the school as Aiko runs around the gym. And finds Ritsuko-chan. Gosh dang it, why you getting in my way? I'm not gonna go for that. Am I crazy? Granted, I already have the strength to do things, but hey. No, the bracing wouldn't have gotten me anything, so away we go. Yeah, I'll try to remember to use the inspiring novel later. Also, I think I have the second encounter check, and I briefly forgot. Anyway, when Aiko and Shinsuke meet again, he's very eager about sharing details of his cursed life. It started 4 years ago. I was a really dumb kid and did something stupid, and now anyone who wants to be friends with me gets in all sorts of trouble. Hey, I've heard there's an occult shop here in Shiokawa, right? Could you lead me there? I'll keep my distance so that the curse won't get you. Is that how it works? Anywho. Let's continue looking and get more Doom because of it. And let's first visit this monument, Shinsuke. Hold on. Well, 2 stamina. Shinsuke waves to Aiko from a distance before entering the shop, and after helping him locate some occult books, she leaves for home. Aiko doesn't get far before she hears a terrible crash and turns around to see that there's a car smashed through the shop's window. She helps the passerbys rescue Shinsuke, and when the ambulance arrives, she goes with them, faking that she's one of his relatives. Ow. The sleeping nurse, by the way. Well, high dexterity can only get me so far. Let's rest once, by the way. Yeah, our Doom is increasing, but hey. After waiting for some time, Aiko's allowed to visit Shinsuke. Besides a badge here and there, he's fine. I was able to find what I wanted. Can you, smuggle me out of the hospital, please? Not through the window, down the window. I need to visit a nearby village. I think I know how to reverse the curse. I just can't live like this until the curse is reversed, or before he gets old and dies. Please, he begs. Alright, let's look around this corridor and see if it's safe. Is this elevator safe? No, why would it be? Haha, fool. Anyway, somehow Aiko manages to sneak them out of the hospital and survive the bus ride without incident. I've set off some fireworks at the Harvest Temple when I was 13, Shinsuke says, sitting down at the bus stop bench. The temple went up in flames and, well, some sort of harvest goddess cursed me. Can you ask the people for directions to the shrine? I'm not sure they would like to see me there because, well, yeah. Maxed out little village? Well, let's turn around and increase doom. Playing off as a traveling historian, Aiko manages to get the directions to the shrine from one of the younger villagers. With Shinsuke in tow, at a safe distance, she heads for the shrine. It's located on a hill on the other side of the village, across the rice paddies, and through the town and the shrine. Professor Takeuchi, no! Okay, good. I did get something useful. We might as well take the experience. The road up the hill leading to the shrine is extremely steep and tires Aiko out. When she gets there, she sees clear markings of fire on the old supports and terracotta walls. Terracotta walls? Shinsuke's prank must have involved quite a lot of fireworks. She helps Shinsuke with his task, leading up the shrine. Sins forgiven. Tsumi Yusareta. Can't read the kanji because I'm not good enough. Owari something sugu. It takes a whole day to clean up the entire shrine. Sorry. From the ceiling supports to the doors and floors. Just when the two are about to finish cleaning the abandoned temple, a sudden gust of warm wind throws a heap of dust onto the altar. Aiko and Shinsuke watch in disbelief. Lines form in the dust as if an invisible finger was writing a message. Sins forgiven, Harvest Festival. Yeah, that was Matsuri. Anyway, soon, right? Just as suddenly as the dust was thrown onto the altar, another gust of warm wind blows it away. Aiko looks at Shinsuke only to find an expression of mixed relief and joy on his face. Harvest Festival is in 4 months. I've lived with this curse for almost 4 years. 4 months will be no problem, he says. Aiko helps Shinsuke clean the altar of the old temple and head back to Shiokawa with the boy in tow. Why did I say old boy? A soft smile does not leave his lips for even a moment. Sometime later, Shinsuke moves yet again along with his uncle who bought a new workshop in another town. A day after his departure, Aiko hears a news report on the radio about a terrible bus crash with many casualties. Only one person got out of the wreck completely unharmed. A 17-year-old transfer student. Well, ending A. And rioters now, but hey. Can I get something useful? Thank you. That would be much appreciated. Yes, I lost bath. I'm still taking strength. You can't stop me. No bath. Moving on to our fourth mystery, 60% doom. Paranormal phone calls of prepubescent pupils. Again by Hassman, Papa Seltzer, Venera Soldier First! 4 years ago, a fire at a campsite claimed the lives of 4 middle schoolers. 4 others survived the ordeal. Time heals wounds, they say, and the children were able to move on with their lives. Or were they? But now, 4 years after the terrible tragedy, the survivors of the event have started receiving phone calls from their dead friends. The dead promise to meet them soon, traumatizing the survivors once again. Had a cough. Is it just a horrible prank, or are the ghosts of the dead teenagers really trying to communicate with their classmates? Aiko's neighbor mentions a recent story about some high schoolers receiving phone calls. Phone calls from their long-dead friends, but how's that possible? Despite all this, the affected teenagers still attend the classes at the local high school, trying to live normal lives. Disciplined fast swimmer Aiko goes to check it out. And runs from the bathroom. That's too spooky. The 4 kids, Asuka, Chie, Hotaru, and Kaito, aren't very willing to talk about the tragedy. The phone call started a few days ago, Kaito explains quietly. I can hear my dead friend's voice on the other side. The teenagers mentioned that the school newspaper found out about the campfire 4 years ago. It could be worth a read. I shouldn't have said it in that tone, but hey. Old newspaper. Yeah, let's look at these. Of course, with 3 knowledge. Rolling a 9. Anyway, the story mentions an old Shinto shrine, a leaking fuel can, a malfunctioning camp lantern, and not much else. The very next morning, Aiko hears terrible news. 2 of the teenagers, Asuka and Kaito, have committed suicide. It seems that Asuka jumped out of her bedroom's window. Robots don't hurt me. Around the same time, Kaito drowned in the sea. Both happened upon a terrible fate after receiving yet another phone call. Alright then, well, we're checking out the seaside and getting an eldritch statuette for our trouble. Aiko quickly finds Hotaru and Chie, both terrified and in tears. Our dead friends' souls are after us. I'm sure of it, Chie cries. Something must have happened at the memorial site. Please, can you go check the place? We're too scared to do it ourselves. After Aiko agrees, the teenage girl tells her how to reach the memorial site. She decides to take a bus and a walk and into this clearing. Well, memorial site. After a long trek, Aiko finds the memorial site. The monument is slightly overgrown with moss. A small plaque reads, "For Bright Children, 1984-4. Oof. Knowledge check failure. Nothing about the memorial site seems amiss, except this strange oppressive feeling of dread, giving shivers. Not the stat, just shivers. One reason. After leaving the memorial site, Aiko walks back through the forest to reach the bus stop. Suddenly she freezes. Off the path, she notices a large pit filled with hundreds of sharp branches, with Chie's body impaled on them, unfortunately. 1,000 branches! Aiko peeks into the deep pit, but there's no mistake. That's Chie's corpse down there. Was she murdered or... Strength success, 1, but Aiko soon realizes that Chie fell backwards with her arms wide open. Then she notices a wide, manic smile on her face. Who or what compelled her to do that in such a gruesome way? 10 experience, -2 reason? I need to take a bath first. Are the phone calls driving the survivors of the tragic fire to do terrible things? Out of them all, only Hotaru is left alive. She lives in an apartment block down the street from Aiko. Aiko fears that if she answers the phone as well, her life might be put in terrible danger. Don't answer that phone call from Fuka or the ghosts. Fate calls. Yeah. Aiko enters Hotaru's home to find her staring at a ringing phone. Without much thinking, Aiko reaches for the phone to answer the call. Hotaru, my best friend. She hears a girl's voice on the other end. I've wanted to speak with you for so long. You are not Hotaru. The girl's voice cracks and turns more masculine. That is okay. You are sufficient too. Hospital morgue. Aiko slams down the phone, gasping for air. She pushes past Haru and walks outside, and loses 2 reason in the process. Can I stop losing reason, by the way? I guess we can't do anything else. Deaf to Hotaru's pleading, Aiko leaves her apartment, sweating and dizzy. Her legs are acting on their own. Despite her best attempts, she's slowly making her way towards the local hospital. Someone, or something, is waiting for her in the hospital's morgue. She just needs to take a few more steps. Well, malicious ghosts! Eerie hospital. The hospital seems eerily empty when Aiko enters it, and nobody stops her as she makes her way towards the morgue. She pushes open the door handles. When Aiko enters the morgue, the door slams shut behind her. The floor in the middle of the room bursts into flames that quickly go larger and larger. 8 seals, 8 souls. Seal animals, as Aiko hears whisper at the back of her mind, as the fire slowly coalesces into a strange, shadowy being. 7 have perished. The vigil shall succeed, says the 8 seal fire spirit fox kitsune. 36 HP and 3 stamina damage. Anywho, thankfully we have stamina to spare, so can I do this? I can. Is that even better? No, it's not. It's the same amount of damage, so let's just do this. I mean, I could trade off things, but we'll brace for now. It's an eldritch being. I should throw the empty bottle. I guess I'll find out. No, it won't make a difference. Maybe it will. I mean, if I had used the inspiring novel, it probably would have, but we'll save that for the last mystery in case weird things happen. And I get close. Roll the dice. Okay, good. Whew, a breath of fresh air. In two ways. Choking on the ash in the air, Aiko quickly makes her way to the window and opens it. Cold air rushes into the room, blows the pile of ash apart, and carries it through the open window, scattering it across the hospital parking lot and nearby buildings. Aiko inhales deeply, realizing that some sort of spell was lifted from her. Free from its power, she quickly leaves the hospital and returns to Hotaru's apartment. The girl is alive and safe. She explains what has happened at the hospital. Hotaru listens. Yeah, I had to make sure. Woo! Hotaru listens, her face pale from fear. After she's done, she sits down at the table and murmurs out a tired thanks. A few days later, Aiko receives a letter from Hotaru. She explains that she and her father are moving out of Shiokawa to live with their grandparents in their old family house, a house without a phone. But what about the old god, anywho? With the fire spirit banished once and for all and Hotaru moving out of Shiokawa, Aiko believes it to be the end of the story, but sometimes when talking on the phone with other people, she thinks she can hear a faint whisper on the other end of the line, asking her to go to the hospital morgue one more time. Fight! But yeah, it's because I'm trying to say things in a certain way, and obviously I paraphrase here or there and just ad-lib, but hey, I do my best. Yeah, we lost Bat, by the way. Have to keep reminding myself of that. But, not Akamanto. Well, shoot. I have no other choice. I guess we will fight Akamanto. Otherwise, I crash the game. So, yeah, into a relative mystery, but I guess I can talk about mysteries, on their own as well. So yeah, again, a lot of customization available, a lot that gets me thinking about the things I can do. That was not the best, by the way. Yeah, and a lot of art to do. Art is the biggest thing that's not getting in the way, but it's the longest thing that's, it's a thing that's taking the most of my time. Making mods and events and characters if I want to do character-specific events, which is a nice thing, actually, but, yeah, I'm not doing it. So, let's just trade 2 times for stuff, and revisit the vending machine once. Do we have? You know, we don't. So, let's just pop this. Now we might as well grab a pack of cigarettes and then burn them. So with the help of Akamanto, we should be able to survive this run. Again, and we'll do our thing. Or, you know, I'm gonna do a bit of improvising, but not for too long. So, bear with me for a moment as I do this. And, we will move on shortly. Or it gives me more time to talk, if nothing else, because, yeah, anywho. But yeah, obviously there's a lot more stuff. I've been looking around and doing some searching in the community just to see what is and is not possible, and then I go back and test things out. It's just going in and out testing the mystery over and over again. Literally after, well, obviously you make it all first, or you could go step by step. Actually, that's a better way to do it, because that way you're not really breaking anything. But of course, you need something to test first, which is why I say you complete the quote-unquote mystery you're doing, whether it's me or anyone else, and then you test it out. You test every single option that you've made for yourself, just so that things don't crash. I've already ran into 3 crashes on my, you know, doing my own things, events, characters, mysteries, and whatnot. So, you know, it's not the best, but you can make do with what you have, especially since you now have access to custom characters. So you can take a custom character with predetermined stats to kind of, you know, influence things. Or if you need to fail things, you can set the run to ill-fated. You know, you have some control. It's not the sandbox we all want for testing, but you gotta make do with what you've got, right? So, anywho, that's right. I do need to do this because I want to get out with as free a turns as possible without taking any damage. But we should definitely be able to get out with this. So, yeah, if you want to hear about my thoughts of balance-wise, because that is something we could talk about. I mean, nothing was too crazy. Obviously, what do I want to say? How do I want to say it? That would make it, you know, much more accurate. For the most part, they're, you know, kind of balanced. You do need, as one person in the community puts it, cadavers here and there. Otherwise, you're just doing free investigations, and there's like really no cost. But so that's why I think they're okay. And once you get accustomed to the mysteries, because it's the same for World of Horror OG things, or OG mysteries and events, is that once you know them, you can start planning around them. So even if you do run into parts where it's like, well, that's not fair, or you make a really bad decision that ends up just insta-losing you the run, I mean, yeah, you deal with it and you move on. So, no stakes. Aside from trying to unlock things if you're trying to do that, but that's a whole other issue entirely. Am I going to be able to make it out of this? Let's find out. Hot bath would have been nice earlier, but we didn't get it. I need stamina. And yeah, we'll treat this like any normal run from now on, even though it wasn't really normal. And if we have the second mystery check, well, we're about to find out. Please don't give me an encounter. I would like that very much. Also, the empty bottle does more damage, so we'll take that out as well. I think we were just in the school, so we shouldn't run into anything. Question mark? Well, we're gonna find out. Well, yeah, we'll take we'll take something so we don't have to deal with the consequences of our actions, and let's see how much damage it does. Yeah, 8. It does do 8. Okay, so I mean, I could do this and then handcuff. So why don't we do that? So we can save ammunition for Takushi-san, and that we do get the Knight Errant penalty. So let's find out the bugs here, because there are bugs here as well. So, yeah, we need to equip the mask. We're gonna die without it, so away we go. Do I survive? What happens here? I have more than 3 stamina, 3 reason. So yeah, so we're good there. It's the other... oh, we have a light check. Well, no, we still survive. Unfortunately, Takushi-san is first, so we don't get to desperate action, but we shouldn't need to. Between 3 branches, a brick, and a meat cleaver, yeah, seems to be straightforward to me. So we should be able to do this. If we somehow miss enough to die, I mean, that would be quite sad. But yeah, without further ado, I'll start ending the video now. Whether I live or die, we'll find out. But yeah, if you have anything you want to say, if there's anything you want me to, play and or test, I mean, really, that's kind of what's happening here as well. No, I think it was encounters. Anywho, well, we'll do this. I don't remember, actually. Raven? Okay. But, yeah, without further, if you want to do anything, you know what to do. There's things we can say. Otherwise, I will, I don't remember. Otherwise, I will be out, and if you want to support me, you know what to do. Subscribing would help out the most, because eventually I'm going to reach a break point among everything I'm juggling, maybe, and if that happens, well, I have to prioritize things. Otherwise, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later in the next video.